Oh, hey, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, depending on which part of this beautiful country that you're in. I am Sheila Gunn Reid. You're watching Rebel News Daily News and Opinion Show, Rebel Roundup. But on Wednesdays, it's something special because we call it the Buffalo Panel on Western Wednesdays, where we talk about Western issues. And I'm joined by my friend in Regina, the beautiful, the exotic, the lovely Lise Merle. Lise, how's it going?
Welcome to our favorite day of the week. It's Western Wednesday here on the Rebel live stream. And we have a swish bang show for you guys today. I mean, just the lineup has got me so spicy and feisty, just glazing over it this morning. And I can't wait to have you guys join us in figuring out all of these weighty issues of our Western world.
Yeah, on Western Wednesdays on the Buffalo Panel, we take the first half hour or so-ish of the show where we bring in two panelists on Western issues and we just shoot the breeze. We watch clips, we talk about the news, and usually these people are newsmakers themselves. I think one of them doesn't really actually want to be a newsmaker, but he seems to keep getting dragged into the news a little bit. So if you want to get involved in the show, and have your say, but also support the work that we do here at Rebel News. If you're watching us on the wonderful free speech platform of Rumble, you can leave a Rumble rant if it's over the $5 US cutoff. We're making it obligatory. We will read it on air. If it's under that, we do our very best to get to it because we know there's less money in your pocket than ever before, and we're just so grateful that you choose us. And if you are watching us on YouTube, same rules apply, but their paid chat is called a super chat, and if you are watching the recorded version of the show, you can leave a super thanks, and I know that some of you do that as well. So we don't get the opportunity to thank you live, but if I'm thanking you right now recorded, I see your super thanks, and we're so grateful for them. So let's bring in our guests. We first will bring in Corey Morgan. He's a columnist with the Western Standard and an author of a wonderful book that I have sold many of, the Sovereigntist Handbook, available on Amazon. And we are also now pivoting west. Usually we sort of go east to talk to Saskies, but let's go west. We're going to talk to Drea Humphrey, who is our BC Bureau Chief for us here at Rebel News. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Lots to talk about. Let's go first, and I know Corey's going to have a ton to say about this. Elections Alberta they have approved, remarkably without question or consideration, a referendum question for the stay in Canada status quo Looney Tunes. Tell us about this, Corey.
Yeah, well, that was spearheaded by Thomas Lukasik as a way, I guess, to try and throw sand in the gears of the independence movement out in Alberta. For those not familiar with Thomas Lukasik, he's a disgraced former minister with the Redford government, most noteworthy for dumping a $20,000 cellular bill on taxpayers for one of his personal trips to Poland. Either way, he has, he's playing the system. I'll kind of give credit where due for being, clever with it. He jumped the gun, put in an application to petition for a referendum to say that Alberta will stay within Canada. And it's kind of exposing where Elections Alberta is, I think, in some ways, that they just accepted that without question. But it really abuses the spirit of the referendum legislation. I mean, if you're going to hold a referendum, it means you're proposing to change something. He's holding a referendum to do nothing. No matter which way people vote on that referendum, nothing will change. In other words, it's a poll, and we would be using the Alberta electoral resources and money to hold a poll. Also, he's got an interpretation that's possible with the legislation that question being so similar to the one being held in the real referendum question could cancel out the ability to hold a referendum on independence. So meanwhile, the Alberta Prosperity Project question, which went after the legislation changed and actually has a lower petition bar, the electoral officer has put that to the Court of King's bench now to ask whether or not it's a constitutional question. So they're getting all the roadblocks on the APP side, while Lukasik's basically troll petition is just gotten a free run to go in there. And but he's already been stepping in it.
Yeah, just so people can understand how similar the questions are, the APP question that has now been referred to Court of King's Bench to see if it is unconstitutional reads, do you agree that the province of Alberta shall become a sovereign country and cease to be a province in Canada? Now, on the flip side, Lukaszik's question is, do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? It actually seems kind of less specific than the other question. And as you rightly point out, it's completely a troll petition because he filed so that before the law was changed. So now he has to meet like nearly 300,000 signatures in 90 days, right? Because he doesn't have the 120 days. So he knows this is going to fail. He doesn't even care. I think what he's trying to do is sabotage the whole idea of having a referendum, I think, for a generation, just by putting a failed one forward. Lise, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it does shine a big bright light on the way that the left will weaponize this in their advantage. And I do think that it says something about the people working at Elections Alberta, that they would accelerate the stay in Canada question and throw hammers at the APP question. I mean, what is Danielle Smith's response going to be to this? We know that she came out and said, we are very much suggesting that Elections Alberta reconsider their stance in putting this question toward the court. But is Danielle going to have to pull what she did with the Alberta Health Services Board when she realized that they were actively working against the people of Alberta and fire them all? Is that what's going to happen at Elections Alberta to get this figured out?
I think we kid ourselves when we think there isn't a deep state, a swamp, whatever you want to call it, an intense bureaucracy working against conservatives at all times, no matter what. Like, to think that the bureaucracy in any given place is not just an entrenched bunch of unionist crazy people, I think is unfair. I think to find people who are normal might be the exception and not the rule. Drea, I know you're in BC, so you don't really have these considerations quite yet. I know this is something percolating and fomenting in Saskatchewan, but I'll just ask you to maybe take the temperature of British Columbians on this issue. If Alberta goes, do you think BC would fracture?
I think in some ways, if you point to our last election, you can look at it almost being 50-50 when it came to conservative voters and not. There was a poll, I would say maybe 2 months ago, that went out asking how British Columbians are viewing the conversation of separatism. And I believe at that time it was around 30%, which is quite a lot compared to what I would have guessed even a couple of months ago. So as things keep getting worse and worse, I think that would change, especially if we see Alberta go ahead and go forward with it, and then Saskatchewan. Then what's going to happen? It's going to normalize it. And I think that's what's happening here, is this is getting actually real. That's why you're seeing Elections Alberta no longer be independent like it's supposed to. It's not supposed to be weighing in on these issues or tugging one way or the other. And now you see there's a battle of which question is going to go forward. And I think that's because, what is it? The UCP base, I think 70% is for this. So they're going, holy crap, what can we do to push back on this? This is just one way. And correct me if I'm wrong, does this not open things up for, a legal battle too, where you have to discuss whether or not this is constitutional or not before you even get to the meat and potatoes?
That's where we're at. It's so interesting, Drea, because Sheila and I were just talking about this last weekend. And what's happening in Alberta is a mirror image of what happened during Brexit, when Brexit was voting to leave the European Union. And what we learned in our research just this last weekend is that there were 4 years of legal battles before the Brexit question hit the British people and they could vote on their independence away from the European Union. So yes, Drea Humphrey, that's exactly what's happening. They are lining up the legal battles to kick the can down the field to slow things down so that the radical left and the Remain camp can get all of their ducks in a row, because this is such a popular concept. The people of the West are done. They are done listening to Ottawa. We are done being under the thumb of, Eastern elites. The Laurentian Triangle, we are done with it. They know it. And those numbers, those 30% numbers out of BC, way, way higher in Saskatchewan and Alberta, that scares the crap out of them. So yes, that's exactly what they're doing.
And I think it matters where those 30% are, right? Like you could say in BC, the population is pretty well split 50-50 between NDPers and Conservatives, but it's where the Conservative votes are. And those are the places that are closest to Alberta. Like, Merritt is a great place, and I feel like it could be in Southern Alberta. Like you go to these places and you're like, they're not... Those are culturally distinct places from the Lower Mainland. They're not culturally distinct places from places like Alberta and Saskatchewan. I want to move ahead, though, because we're seeing now, what did they say? What did they say in the Bible? There's nothing new under the sun. We're seeing a replication of how the Canadian flag was treated once the convoy started flying it. And Safeway was flying an Alberta flag in Medicine Hat, which I should inform all of you is in Alberta. We were actually there just a couple of weeks ago, Lisa and I.
2 weeks ago,
the hat. We were in the hat. And they put up an Alberta flag, and then the Lukaszuk minions freaked out, bullied the store. They took it down. And I'll let Corey finish the story, because I think he was instrumental in sort of bringing this all to light.
Sure. I mean, it was a bored time I had, I guess, in scrolling and seeing what was happening in Thomas Lukaszuk's little Facebook group on this. And it'd been a few days before that, and I saw this posting with this guy bragging that he had gotten an Alberta flag taken down in a Medicine Hat Safeway. And I thought, oh my God. And not only that, but of course, there's a few others giggling along with him and thinking this is brilliant and asking about where they could inquire at other Safeways to do this. So, of course, I did what I do. I screen capped it and shot it out on X and asked the world what they think of it. And of course, it exploded. And I do feel for the guys at Safeway. When you get stuck, you're just trying to sell groceries, and you got some nutty activist getting on your case. Somebody thought the point of least resistance would just be to take the flag down, not realizing what they were stepping into. And within hours of that, suddenly Safeway was assuring everybody, no, it's been rectified. The flag is back up. And if this madman comes into our store again, we're going to ask him to leave. But the funny thing is, following up, that Facebook group has now been shut down or disassociated from Lukaszuk. Lukaszuk has reactivated his old Facebook group from his campaign to use now for the petition organization. And he's just basically, they're trying to scrub it and start fresh. Not a great start for a group that's got to somehow try and round up 300,000 signatures, but insulting the flag, you fools, why would you step into that? It's just a poor, petty way to go with things. But I was thrilled to expose the brilliance of these guys, and I hope they continue along the same strategic bit for the rest of their campaign.
Oh, Corey Morgan, good for you. I mean, it's not every day that you can compel the trash to take itself out. Here, that's exactly what you did.
Oh, they threw me a softball. I mean, I had to. It was too easy, that one.
Just awesome.
Let's read this together. Sean Copeland, is that the crazy man?
Yes.
This is an update to an earlier post I made regarding the display of an Alberta provincial flag in the Safeway store in Medicine Hat, Alberta. The flag has been removed at the request of Western Canada Regional Office. I did not approach the store manager personally. Please thank the upper management at Safeway, Sobeys, Empire Company. It appears that after relating my concerns to Safeway's Western Canada Regional Office, they have taken the decision to enforce their policy to ensure that their stores not appear to politicize Alberta's flag. The only person politicizing it is this lunatic. I feel confident that this policy will be enforced in all of their stores. The decision to have the flag in this photo removed reinforces Safeway's long-term commitment to keep politics out of shopping. My original belief that there is a policy that discourages the display of the Alberta flag inside or outside of stores seems to have been accurate. Shopping locally means buying Canadian, Locally means Albertan, actually, and by extension, Albertan. This is not a rebuke of this manager or whatever political views they may hold. Simply a win for those who would not wish to see the Alberta flag co-opted for reasons other than pride in Alberta. Kudos to Safeway, Sobeys, and Empire Company for taking a stance in turbulent times for Canada and the province. He keeps talking about the province, but that blue symbol seems to be quite offensive to this guy. And I'm with Corey. I understand why the store was like, fine, take it down. I just don't want this lunatic calling us anymore.
Yeah.
But this is what happens. Like when you measure things, you change it. And I'm so glad that Corey exposed this because it did change it. Our flag is not offensive. It's ours. And we saw exactly this happen during the Freedom Convoy when they were musing like, oh, is the Canadian flag now the symbol of white supremacists? Every time I see it, it stresses me out and it induces my phantom honking. And it's good to see that this was quickly rectified in like under 24 hours. That's a delight. Drea, again, BC, I don't know. I always just think it's just like a bunch of normal people and then there's a line in Chilliwack and the crazy people are on the other side. But do you guys still have this madness over the Canadian flag?
You know, it's funny. I was just driving with a friend through New West, and I saw a huge Canadian flag in a window. I went, "Oh, Canadian flag!" And then we started talking. We're like, we don't know what that actually means anymore. It's like whiplash going back and forth. I have consistently respected and treat the Canadian flag as it should be treated, but you never know if that's people need to basically put a date on the flag now. Is that an elbows up flag or what's going on in the window? So I want to say kudos to Corey for, really letting the public know about this. And then kudos to the public for pushing back. This is definitely a win. We don't see it all the time. I do think we're seeing it more and more. What always stands out to me is that it's usually such a small group of individuals who complain,
right,
and get so much done. And then usually what happens over the past years is, the silent majority stays silent and nothing happens, nothing changes. So that's not what happened here. And that's what's super cool about this story. And hopefully more people will respect the flag, which is actually inclusive if it's just the flag of the region, the flag of the country.
Right.
So yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah, and for sure, this is the same guy who would complain if Safeway didn't blazon pride flag all over everything. Right. Like the same guy.
There would be no complaints there. As a matter of fact, he would be all for it. But hey, Sheila Gunn-Reid, do you have an Alberta flag in your go box when we go off tootling across the prairies?
Yes, and I also have a red ensign.
Okay, I have my Saskatchewan flag. I only fly the Saskatchewan flag, and we're just going to put those up when we arrive at our next destination.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Corey, I didn't talk about this with you last time you were on the Buffalo panel, but I must. You are being defended by the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms on a trespass charge. Break this down for us. How did you end up with a trespass charge from Siksika First Nation?
Yeah, 2 charges actually for $1,000 each. This was last spring or almost late winter. I can't remember what brought it on, but I seeing something online that annoyed me with frustration. People don't realize how things are on reserves. I mean, the vast majority of Canadians have never stepped foot on a reserve. They don't have a reason to. I don't blame them, but they don't understand the conditions. Now, the Siksika Reserve, they did a big release with Justin Trudeau giving them $1.2 billion. So just one reserve only a few years ago. And the conditions on the reserve after a few years are reprehensible. They're in squalor. The houses are falling apart. The wild dogs are running around. It's just terrible. So I went out, took the phone and spent a morning showing video of the houses on the reserve, of the associated businesses and the buildings bounding on the reserve, the towns around the reserve, and offered some commentary, not knocking the reserve, but just saying, this is what it looks like, guys. This is how it is. Well, they were very upset. The video got tens of thousands of views. They demanded I take it down. I told them that, it's digital, but you're still welcome to stuff it somewhere. And they charged me with trespassing. It turns out I'm the very first person ever to be charged under their trespassing law. But I shot all my video off of public roads and a public highway. I went into no areas. Even their own bylaw says that it has to be a sign up saying no trespassing if a person indeed did trespass. So, I mean, it's nothing. The Justice Center is already assuring me of that, though we're going to have to go through the whole process now. A guy shows up on my doorstep, gives these notices of 2 charges of trespassing. The funny thing is, the reason I got 2 charges was because I put a short out before I put the video. And they charged me for 1 incident for the short that I did and 1 incident for the video. It's ridiculous. And I mean, for driving on a public highway and shooting footage, guys, sorry, it doesn't work that way, but they're making me run the gauntlet. It'll be going to, of course, I was found guilty already by the 6th Circuit Court, so now it's going to the provincial court, which is on the reserve on October 16th. And a circuit judge will be hearing it. And I would imagine it should be thrown out at that point, but being me and the Justice Center being who they are, we'll take it as high as this has to go. I know it's only $2,000, but I'm not giving you guys a penny.
No,
Yeah,
I mean, sorry,
Corey,
I'll be quiet.
this is the First Nation that everybody drives on if they're going from the number 1 highway on the alternate route into Calgary, correct?
Yeah, it's a nice shortcut.
Yeah,
it
saves 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Right, it saves from going in the long way into Calgary. So anybody driving on the number 1 highway that's taking that alternate route can see exactly what you saw, Corey. And this is not a place that looks like it just got $1.2 billion worth of funding. This is a place that looks like it hasn't been funded properly since 1905. If I'm being completely honest. And so here they're charging you for each piece of digital information that you put up. Just incredible, just insane.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
it's
you're
clear
probably
their
driving
issue.
on the
Their issue isn't the
only paved
trespass.
road. Yeah.
Yeah, their issue isn't the trespass. It's what I exposed. And they're trying to bully people from exposing any further what's happening on there. That's the bottom line.
I'm going to take a video next time I come into Calgary. And we'll just give people a tour, just like you did, Corey, because I think that the more Canadians understand just how deplorable the conditions are in Canadian First Nations, the better off those First Nations will be. You can't tell me that those people are being served right, either by the federal government or their band leadership.
Well, and that's the whole point, I think, is that, and Corey, correct me if I'm wrong, but your intent here is not to deride the people who live on reserve.
No.
You are there to expose the conditions the people who live on reserve are forced to live under by the federal government and their band leadership, who don't seem to have any sort of accountability.
Exactly. I just wanted to highlight how badly the system is failing. I mean, if you could even pump 1.2 billion into a reserve and it still looks like this, it's telling you the problem isn't funds and resources, it's the system. And they didn't want that exposed. Another thing that upset them, I went on to, and there's a sign on the highway directing people to go look at, Chief Crowfoot's grave. I went in there to the cemetery and got some footage of the grave, but I also pointed out the cemetery. And cemeteries and reserves are different from other ones too. And people at best realize that they don't put up granite headstones. They don't maintain them. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it showed the overgrown sort of neglected style of cemetery. And yes, in a roundabout way pointing out, yes, finding unmarked graves on these cemeteries isn't uncommon because they were never well marked to begin with. Not saying it's right or wrong, but it's another thing they don't want people to realize.
Sheila Gunn-Reid, please tell them what we've observed about small town cemeteries. Please tell them in this moment.
It's funny because Lisa and I will go to a small town cemetery. And, because we tootle around on the weekends together, van lifing. And oftentimes that's how we judge a community, is how they maintain their cemetery. Are they honoring their war dead? Are they cutting the grass? Or random people, you can tell when people who are completely unrelated, because you can sort of see where the family lineage stops 100 years ago. And yet somebody has obviously gone to the dollar store and brought flowers to this little clutch of graves. And that may or may not be a cultural thing, but I know that Drea faced a lot of the same roadblocks, although not charged with trespass twice, in her investigation of the Kamloops Indian Residential School. And she found the same issue with the markers of the graves that are wood. In fact, one interesting part of the documentary that Drea made on the Kamloops Indian Residential School was that the markers that they put along the highway to mark the discovery were wood, and they took them down after a year because they deteriorated.
That's right.
Yeah, I was talking to the chief, Roseanne Casimir, about that. I'm like, oh, so what happened to the crosses that you had up there? And she herself was like, oh, over the weather, they break down and stuff. But then yet, 100 years ago, you're supposed to see that. But I feel like, Corey, what you exposed there, you really did tug on, Satan's cape a bit with this whole thing, because it does put a crack into the reconciliation industry. You have the average Canadian too busy to focus on what's going on in their life, thinking, yes, we have to put millions, billion of dollars into this industry, and it's not getting down to the people. When I was a teenager, I actually used to volunteer to help clean up reserves. This is such a long time issue. I was mortified as a child going into those homes, seeing huge holes in the walls, seeing urine in places like you mentioned, the res dogs running around, people passed out. It is horrible. And when you mention that kids are living there, we need to talk about this issue. We need to expose this issue. We need to understand that this issue of the people not getting the care, even though that the money's being thrown there, is a contributing factor to the fact that there is overrepresentation of Indigenous people homeless on the street, struggling with addiction, and in our prisons. It's all connected. And if you care about Indigenous people, you will care about exposing this. And of course, care about the fight that you're going through, because journalists should be able to let the public know what's really going on.
Yeah,
Oh,
go ahead.
Absolutely. I just want to thank the Justice Center as well, because they stand up for these sorts of things and journalism and other, freedom associated things. I mean, if I had to, I guess I would, pay out of pocket for legal representation, but they're kindly covering me on this, which makes it easier to fight back on these things. So I just do want to throw a thumbs up to those guys, because they're really helping Canadians in a lot of ways they might not realize sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, they're defending the rights of all Canadians by defending the rights of journalists. I mean, it is a right of the public to have access to information, and we are the vehicles of that information. Hey, we got a super chat in for Corey that we should get to before we have to sign off and hit a break. Sign off from the panel, and we'll be on after the break, Lisa and I. But this is from P. Schofield 10, who says, question for Mr. Morgan. At the end of the day, if Alberta were, I think it's if Alberta were independent, what would be one or two beliefs, policies, etc., you would include in the new country that at present do not exist?
Oh, great question.
I'll begin with property rights, real property rights. That alone makes such a fundamental individual right that makes it so much more difficult for the state to impose upon your rights, as well as that with making your home your castle. You can protect your individual rights. But I mean, going beyond that, I guess just an independent Alberta, I'd like to see, a charter, but a real one, and an inviolate one that stands up for individual rights and not ways that the government can set them aside when it's inconvenient for them, such as with the truckers' convoy.
Yeah. When they added that reasonable limitation to all of our charter rights, then it becomes who decides what's reasonable. And that would be the politicized judges and the people who want to abuse us in the government. Corey, before we let you go, tell us how people can find more of your work, but also plug that excellent book of yours.
Well, you sell more of it than I do, I think, but I appreciate it greatly. I'll get you another case of beer. It's the Sovereigntist Handbook. It can be found on Amazon, of course, if you search it out. I write for the Western Standard. I write for the Epoch Times. And I'm pretty prolific on X at Corey B. Morgan, if you really want to see me a little more unfiltered.
Yeah, you got a YouTube channel that people want taken down.
Oh, that too, yes. So, yes, at Corey Morgan, I guess if you search on YouTube, you'll find me there as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Corey. And yeah, we drank that case of beer at the Pinoca Stampede. So
did we ever, Corey?
I was certain it wouldn't go to waste.
Yeah, keep them coming, Corey. We love it. We'll take that payment.
Yes. There's the Sovereigntist Handbook. It's available on Amazon. Corey, Drea, thanks so much for joining us on the panel today. Drea, sorry we didn't let you get a word in edgewise, but keep, keep paying attention to that separatist sentiment fomenting in British Columbia, and we'll have more to talk about. Guys, let's hit an ad break, and then we'll come back on the other side to discuss Tim Houston and his climate lockdown. Are you or do you know a young, freedom-loving truth seeker who's sick of legacy media spin and woke newsroom groupthink? I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. I am the editor-in-chief at Rebel News, and I'm the president of the Independent Press Gallery of Canada. And I wanted to personally invite you or the young person you know to the Democracy Fund's 2025 Student Journalism Conference and Job Fair happening in Toronto from October 3rd to 5th. This year's theme is the free market, not just in economics, but in speech, in ideas, and in media. If that inspires you instead of intimidating you, then this is your moment. Over 3 packed days, successful applicants will get hands-on training in modern journalism with a focus on digital platforms, storytelling, and civil liberties reporting. You'll attend interactive sessions complete with real-time group assignments graded by senior journalists and compete for a grand prize. It's all expenses paid, flights, accommodations, and meals fully covered. This is a professional grade experience for aspiring journalists with guts and grit. We're looking for Canadians or permanent residents or work permit holders age 18 to 30 who demonstrate ambition, integrity, and a commitment to free speech and truth-telling. You don't need a journalism degree, just the courage to challenge the narrative and the work ethic to back it up. Speakers include Ezra Levant, David Menzies, Tamara Ugolini, and yes, I'll be there too. Past grads have gone on to work in independent media, including right here at Rebel News. And for those of you who believe in building an independent media ecosystem, you can help too. If you're a business or individual who wants to sponsor this conference, email us at events@thedemocracyfund.ca. Applications close very soon, August 3rd. Visit thedemocracyfund.ca to apply or support the next generation of fearless Canadian journalists. Okay. Boy, they're fun to talk to. I could talk to Corey all day long.
Oh, so good. Andrea, just the best. Like, can I just toot her horn for a quick second?
Yep.
She is like class and calm
Always.
personified. She's just lovely. Just a lovely girl.
Do you know
Yeah.
when we first hired her, we sort of found her during COVID, and I thought she was lying that she wasn't a trained broadcast professional because she has a broadcaster's voice and a broadcaster's cadence, which I definitely don't have. I cannot get past my Northeastern Alberta accent and how I talk. I know that. I'm not changing it. It's fine. But the way she talks and the way she comports herself, I was like, no, that girl is lying. She's under an assumed name or something, but she's done this.
She's a natural. She's an absolute natural. And Corey Morgan, like, what an absolute treat. Like, I love a rabble rouser. You know what I mean? Like, I love a good troublemaker. And Corey Morgan is the very best kind of troublemaker. Like, he's just amazing. And his book is incredible, The Sovereigntist Handbook. So if you don't have it, do get one. Do get a copy.
Do get one on Amazon. Every purchase goes towards my next case of beer from Corey. Yep.
That's right.
That's right. It's true. Corey was one of my very first followers or follows. Sorry, he didn't follow me. He was one of my very first follows on X, Twitter.
Is that right?
Back in
Back
like
in the day.
2011, 2012. Yeah.
Back
One
in
of
the day,
them.
I bet I was number 2. I bet I was
You
number
might
2.
have been number 1.
I could have been. That's how long we've been at this. I
Yep.
mean, near 15 years of having fun and fighting the left and having a great time doing it. It's not a bad gig.
Hey, yeah, by the way, we've got a lot to celebrate, and that's why we want to invite people to our birthday party. Did you know the Rebel News is 10 years old? Now, we're a little over 10 years old, but we didn't celebrate our birthday when it happened back in February. Lots of things were happening. We just didn't want to take the time. But now, maybe things haven't slowed down all that much, but if you don't celebrate it, it'll just breeze by. So if you go to happybirthdayrebel.com, you will find out how you can celebrate our birthday with us, because without you, there's no Rebel News. We don't live on even one day without the support of our viewers at home. So on September 18th in Calgary at the Carriage House, which is a great hotel and conference center, we are inviting you to come to our 10th birthday bash. It's me, Tamara, Drea, David, Alexa, Ezra. Look how happy he is in that photo. Like, that's a joyful Ezra Levant. And of course, Lisa Merle. We're all going to be there. Lisa and I are planning to be overdressed for the occasion. And it's live music, meet and greet, photos, snacks, drinks, and our musical guest, by the way, Tamara Leach, who not only is an incredible freedom fighter, a genuinely lovely human being, but also
Yes.
one heck of a performer. And so we want you to be there with us. If you go to happybirthdayrebel.com, you'll see the 2 different tiers of tickets. There's a VIP ticket, which includes dinner, or just a regular birthday bash. And it's a great way to celebrate with us, but it's also a fundraiser to help keep us going. And we would love it if you were there. And we just added a second event. Event number 2, Toronto Birthday Bash, October 16th, 2025. Same cast of characters. We don't have Tamara Leach booked for that, but we promise you it will be as good as the Calgary one. Well, maybe not, because it'll be in Toronto and I'm a bit of a Western supremacist, but it'll still be good, and we'll all be there, and it's going to be so much fun. And again, happybirthdayrebel.com. All right. I'm a Western supremacist. I am going to say that.
Me too. Agreed.
Yeah. We've got this video from Drea, and I'm sad I let her go before she brought it up, before we could talk to her about this, but she's working on a video on this today. And this is the alleged Conservative Premier of Nova Scotia, Tim Houston, banning people from the woods. Now, you know what? I'll give my thoughts after this, because I'm of 2 minds of this, but I think this is the climate lockdown overreach. Now, there are ways that they could make this palatable, but they are not budging on it. So let's hear what Tim Houston has to say. And this is because of the extreme forest fire risk.
Effective 4 p.m. today, we're telling Nova Scotians, stay out of the woods. We are restricting travel and activities that really aren't necessary for most of us. Hiking, camping, fishing, and the use of vehicles in the woods are not permitted. Trail systems through woods are off limits. Camping is allowed, but only in official campgrounds. The fine for violating any of these bans is the same as the fine for the ban on burning, $25,000. And if you're a smoker, for God's sakes, be mindful of where you're butting your butt out. If you don't, and you cause a fire, we will hold you accountable. So what does this mean if you have a home or cottage surrounded by a wooded area? Yeah. We strongly encourage you to stay out of those woods, regardless of where they are. Please don't do anything that could unnecessarily put you, your family, or your neighbors at risk. This situation sucks. Summer is one of the best times in Nova Scotia, and we all look forward to getting outdoors and enjoying our scenic beauty that surrounds us. I get that, and I'm right there with you as Nova Scotians. But you can still go to the beach. In fact, that's a great place to be on these hot, dry days. Just no bonfires. If there's a short trail to get from point A to point B, like from the parking to the beach or to the lake to fish, that's fine. But that's it. No heading into the woods to spend time there. I know it's inconvenient. I know it's the height of summer vacation and people want to do all the activities that we so much enjoy in our great outdoors. We have a beautiful province. I know everybody wants to enjoy it, but we have to stay out of the woods. It's a small price to pay right now to avoid the kind of devastation that we saw from the wildfires in 2023. Nobody wants to go back there.
I'll let you go first, Lisa. I got lots to say.
Okay. Well, what Tim Houston is saying here follows a disturbing pattern that we're seeing across the country of Canada, in that the Canadian public is prohibited from using public lands for whatever reason because of safety. Okay, safety. Oh, it's unsafe if you go into the woods. Oh, it's you this might happen or that might happen, and we've seen it like now. First in Nova Scotia, before that in British Columbia, with public beaches being closed to regular British Columbians to abide by some First Nation ceremony or something like this. We're seeing it. We're seeing this replicated with Tim Houston, and when he said, this isn't necessary for somebody like me, who's roaming is an absolute necessary part of her life. Okay, this is just something, if you know me in life, you know this to be true. I am a freedom roamer. Okay, I like setting out with no given path and making it up as I go and finding the best case scenario. And lots of times it's straight into the woods.
Yeah, we're off grid.
We're completely off grid. We are a couple of women, okay, Rebel fam. We're a couple of women that can survive off of nothing, be at our absolute peak, most feminine, with no modern conveniences whatsoever. Me and Sheila Gunn Reid can just tootle off and have the best possible time with absolutely no supplies. Now, this isn't to say that we don't take precautions. I have fire suppression devices in my van. I have a fire blanket and a fire extinguisher just in case I should encounter a fire on the road. But people in large part are very, very careful about making sure that when they go out into the wilderness, they take out what they bring in. They will leave no trace that they were ever there. And I think what Tim Houston is doing is punishing the entire population for the actions of some bad or not careful actors back in 2023. But I do not like this trend, Sheila Gunn Reid, not at all.
Yeah, the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom says this anti-freedom policies is extreme, violates charter-protected freedom of movement.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Section 6, and makes no sense at all. Hiking on trails and driving on off-grid roads in the woods doesn't cause fires.
That's right.
The government can ban smoking in woods and campfires in woods, but cannot ban Canadians from enjoying the woods. Now, I'm going to say something even worse. He went one step further. He said, if you live in the woods or have woods on your property
near you
should stay out of those, like in your own woods. Like Lise will tell you, I'm surrounded by the woods. I live in the middle of a hayfield, and then to the other side is woods, and to the back is woods. I am where the grassland crashes into the boreal forest, and that is quite literally my backyard. The hell some politician is gonna ban me from my own backyard over my dead body.
That's right.
He also said, no hiking, no fishing. My shoes are going to start a fire.
Yeah,
your fishing rod,
your bait. Yeah. Your bait. Careful, everybody. You might start a fire on the lake, according to Tim Houston.
And let's be real here. There are some fire risks that he could mitigate, right? Without going all this way.
Right.
You could ban ATVs from the woods. I have incidentally seen a forest fire this close from leaving the ditch and claiming a forest, as dry muskeg fell off the tailpipe of an ATV, and within seconds it was out.
Yeah.
That's one thing. So you could say, yeah, ATVs out of the woods, no fires in the woods. Okay, but you're going to ban me and my hiking shoes from the woods? No,
yes.
Forget yourself. By the way, most of these fires are started by arsonists, as we know. And so you're going to ban the people who care and love the woods from the woods. You know who's going to continue to go to the woods to light fires? Arsonists. You should double ban the arsonists then.
That's exactly. That's exactly right. And if and when those arsonists are identified and caught and charged, they should be forced to pay a fine of whatever it costs to fight that fire, plus the
And then some.
$25,000, right?
And
Plus
jail.
the $25,000 fine. So this brings up a really good point. In other parts of the world, Austria, Belarus, Estonia, Finland, Iceland, Latvia, Lithuania, Norway, Scotland, Sweden, Switzerland, and the Czech Republic, there is a law, and it's part of their charter. It's called the freedom to roam, or the right to roam, where public lands,
I want
lakes,
that in the
rivers.
Alberta Charter.
Exactly where I was
want
going,
it.
Sheila Gunn-Reid. Exactly where I was going. So there is an implied law that says anybody that is a citizen of those countries can roam wherever they want. Of course,
On
this
public
doesn't
lands.
on public land. Even private land, if it's not a business or if it's not actively
Oh,
being grown or
Don't
cropped
roam
or
onto my
anything.
land. I'll tell you right now, don't roam
Well,
my way then.
Well, as a farmer, I think farmers over there have to post, no trespassing or no roaming, whatever. This is
Yep.
just how it works there. But there are laws that protect the freedom to roam, and I think that in Canada, and especially Western Canada, when we are developing the rules for our new country, we must consider one of those laws. Otherwise, we have people like Tim Houston coming in, or we have people like Stephen Guilbeault coming in telling us, well, you were prohibited from this area because you were an inherent safety risk just by breathing.
Yeah,
No
well,
thanks. No
and
thanks to
yeah,
this.
I'm not taking caring for our public lands advice from the people who perpetually oversee the mismanagement of our public lands to the point that they keep burning down.
That's right. We should
I
talk to
didn't
Tim
do
Houston.
that.
We should talk to Tim Houston about his forest management. See what he's done to combat this since 2023.
Look inside
2023.
yourself, Tim. Look
Look
inside
inside
yourself.
yourself. What have you done?
Imagine telling me to stay out of my backyard. But he told Nova Scotians, look, if you live you live in the forest, stay out of the woods. No, that's how you get me in the woods more.
Don't you dare step foot on your own property. Or we could fine you $25,000. That would be the day. Anyway,
that would be the day.
The people of what was it? Nova Scotia? Are we talking
Nova
about?
Scotia.
Yeah, people of Nova Scotia should think long and hard about what Tim Houston just said to them.
Yeah, and he's an alleged
and
conservative.
how he's infringing on their rights.
Yeah,
like Doug.
Yeah. So there's a different brand of conservatism, basically from, I want to say, Portage La Prairie East. It's a little different than what we do out here.
Libservatism is what it is.
It's something. I don't know what it is. I think it's very like UK conservatism, and we're more American conservatism. I think that's probably it.
Yeah, there's a big difference between Western and Eastern conservatives, like a huge difference. It's a cultural thing.
We've got Mark Carney suggesting that he would rescind the Online News Act. For those of you who are like, oh, Rebel News, I used to see you guys on Facebook all the time, and then you were gone. Or, oh, I used to watch your reels all the time on Instagram. I haven't seen you in a long time. That's because of the Online News Act. Meta refuses to pay the shakedown money to the failing news companies through the Online News Act, so they just block Canadian news. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't pay the shakedown either. In fact, they were actually providing a service to news companies for free, right? It's like charging the newspaper boy for the pleasure of delivering to you, which is what Meta was to news agencies. And, like you could, if you were a news company, you could say, oh, I have like X amount of reach on Facebook. And so that's why you, dear advertisers, should pay more to advertise with us because we have this reach on Facebook. And it was sort of a symbiotic relationship. They refused to pay the shakedown, and Canadians can't get access to news now on Facebook, which is where a lot of your older folks get their news. And Mark Carney is saying that he might rescind it. Now, I think there are going to be clauses attached to that. For example, if you are a QCJO news company, which is a qualified Canadian journalistic organization, which is a tax certification, you'll be allowed on Facebook. But those of us who are denied that for political reasons, well, we just won't be allowed on Facebook. So don't think for a second that this means we're going back to the Wild West of everybody getting to read what they want on Facebook.
No.
You'll still probably only see the approved outlets on Facebook because the government has control over that approval.
That's right. And this story gets even more interesting when you look at what happened in this last, say, 8 or 9 months. So the Online News Act comes up, becomes law in Canada, and digital platforms aren't allowed to share news on the internet. So Google finds a workaround and pays the government of Canada, or actually they don't pay the government of Canada. They pay the qualified, what was it?
QCJO. Yeah.
QCJO $100 million. Okay. Google pays the QCJO $100 million in January to be exempt from the Online News Act. Okay. So Google could
shakedown.
still, oh, but just you wait, Sheila Gunn Reid, just you wait. On July 15th of this year, the Brookfield account on X, okay, the Brookfield account on X posts
Lord
this.
above. Everything is Brookfield.
Today, we have announced a hydro framework agreement with Google, okay, the people that just paid $100 million to be exempt from the Online News Act, to deliver up to 3,000 megawatts of carbon-free energy across the United States. This is the world's largest framework agreement for the purchase of hydroelectricity, with the first contracts executed with Brookfield facilities in Pennsylvania. This partnership with Google represents a significant step forward in our strategy to deliver flexible, clean energy solutions at scale to global technology leaders at the forefront of digitization and AI. So let's get this right, Canada. Okay, let's get this right. Brookfield posts an agreement that they've just made with Google, and then Mark Carney announces that he might be rethinking the Online News Act that makes Google pay $100 million to Canadian journalistic organizations. So, hey, Google, you know, we know that you're upset about having to pay $100 million to Canadian journalistic organizations. But, you know, if you just make a deal with Brookfield, then maybe we can make that law go away. We are watching vapid, insane corruption right in front of our faces right now, Canada. That is what's happening. So yeah, Mark Carney rethinking the Online News Act, not surprising because Google just made a deal with Brookfield.
Do you know what? It is a good thing to do that if you see some sort of policy announcement or change in policy made by the Liberals, ask yourself, how is Brookfield involved in this?
That's right.
Every single time, ask yourself how Brookfield is involved in it, because they always are. It's like the mega corporation.
All I had to do was Google, okay, Google plus Brookfield. And this tweet popped up. I'm going to put this in the chat so we can share this with everybody. Yeah. Insane. It's insane. It's actually insane. And
everything is Brookfield. Brookfield is like an octopus, and its tentacles are in everything.
Everything.
Yeah. It's like BlackRock, but formerly Canadian.
So it wasn't enough that Canadians.
It was just 2 weeks ago.
It wasn't. Here we go. Here it is. Here's Brookfield's announcement saying that they partnered with Google, and then all of a sudden, Mark Carney is saying, "Yeah, we might rethink the Online News Act, you know, because our friends at Google and Meta,
our friends at Google, they don't need to pay that $100 million.
They don't need to, because they just signed a contract with Brookfield to do green energy net zero baloney. Like it's actually insane what's happening here and what they're being allowed to get away with. Because if this isn't a huge conflict of interest, I don't know what is. So we have Mark Carney, the prime minister, the installed prime minister of Canada, making deals with companies that have super stakes in Brookfield, which is related to Mark Carney. And if you go and look, hey guys on the production end in the control room, could you go to the Brookfield X page real quick? Because I want you guys to see this with me, because I thought this was so interesting. If you go to the Brookfield X profile and click on their followers, the Brookfield account is only following like 6 accounts or something, and they are absolutely telling. Like, you got to see who Brookfield is interested in. Okay, Sheila, can you read that?
Altera, $30
Yep.
billion catalytic climate investment fund
Uh-huh.
to finance a new climate economy that delivers prosperity. BSR News, we work with businesses to create a just and sustainable world. Of course,
Keep
find them on
going.
Blue Sky.
Keep going.
The ILPA, the Institutional Limited Partners Association, the only global organization dedicated exclusively to the interests of limited partners in private equity. SASB, now part of the IFRS Foundation, available for 77 industries, connect businesses and investors on the financial impacts of sustainability. Brookfield Properties, as you know, we're all going to end up living in those one day. And then Mark Carney.
Those are the 6 accounts that the official Brookfield account follows on X. And here we have Brookfield partnering with Google, while Mark Carney, the installed Prime Minister of Canada, tells us he's going to change laws to benefit Google, who just signed an agreement with Brookfield.
Yeah.
Insane.
And to be clear, I don't want Google to pay that $100 million shakedown. I don't want anybody to pay that $100 million
You know what?
shakedown.
I don't either, but I also don't want
Right.
don't want the company that the Prime Minister is heavily involved with making backdoor deals with tech giants that are still not going to serve the people of Canada. Because the people of Canada who were up in arms about the Online News Act, saying this is going to drastically affect how I receive information in my life. It wasn't enough for Canadians. You know what it took? It needed Brookfield stakeholders to be positively impacted to get this law maybe changed.
Right. And Google could have held out with Meta, and maybe that would have cracked the federal government if the two big ones had said, yeah, we're not going along with that. If Google and Meta, but Google broke ranks. They broke the embargo.
Yeah, I've thought that myself. Yeah, I've thought that myself. So anyway, all of this to say, very, very interesting, Canada, how the way that we are getting bamboozled by our brand new federal government and Brookfield.
Yeah, and the Online News Act is so bad that I find myself defending Zuckerberg and Meta. Like, that's how bad the Online News Act is. That's what it's done to me.
Right?
That's offensive.
That's how we used to get all of our news. And so now,
for sure.
But then again, when you're seeking out the news, I found that after the online news ban came into effect, it made the way that I sought out information a lot different. And this is how we gain the majority of our followers, Sheila, is they find us and we speak their language. We reflect the things that they see, and we're just happy to have them all. So welcome, everyone. Welcome. We're happy to have you, no matter how you found us.
We've got some good news, or at least some advancement of some good news, potentially. The CCF, so the Canadian Constitution Foundation, is intervening. They've won leave to intervene in the case of the Ontario mayor fined for rejecting the Pride Proclamation in town.
Oh, good.
So that is the curmudgeonly mayor of Emo, Ontario, Harold McQuaker.
Right. Harold.
Just an absolute curmudgeon name, and I am here for it.
Harold McQuaker.
He was previously fined by the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal for voting against a request to proclaim June as Pride Month and fly the rainbow flag. And then when he did that, all the federally funded Pride-type organizations, including Borderland Pride,
right, the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations
that are funded by the government.
By our taxpayer funds, goes to the federal government. Federal government pays the NGOs, who are the enemy of the people, P.S., okay? Yeah. And they take Harold McQuaker and garnish his bank account. They dip into his bank account, take his money, and say, no, Harold, you must fly the Pride flag. Here's Harold McQuaker. We don't even have a flagpole. This is what Harold says. We don't even have a flagpole. That's why we said no. And they were like, not good enough, Harold. Put up a flagpole. Fly the Pride flag. Tell everybody that you're fine with all of this, and we'll leave you alone. And Harold's like, no, thank you. I'm not going to do that.
And you know what? They did like their own parade that wasn't like sanctioned by the town.
Yeah.
Without a hitch. So you know what that tells me? They didn't need the town's permission specifically their town. Sorry, they probably needed the town's permission, but not the town's endorsement
Right.
to have their stupid little pride parade. But
Right.
they fined him $15,000.
$15,000.
He was
Harold McQuaker's a senior, by the way. He's a senior citizen, and they took $15,000 of his dollars.
It gets worse. He owns a local trucking company. He does this for love of his community. I forget the amount of his salary per year. It's almost nothing. He basically gets expenses
It's like
and
a
the
couple
odd
grand. Yeah.
yeah, and the odd per diem. It's like I thought it was under $5,000.
Yeah.
That's what he's making a year to put up with this baloney. And you know what? So this happened in 2020. They just convicted him of pride wrongthink in 2024. So this has been going on now 5 years. Harold was reelected after he declined to acknowledge pride. It was him and two other counselors. One decided, this ain't worth the headache. I'm not running again.
Right. Right.
Him and the other guy ran and got reelected.
Good. Good.
So
More
obviously
power
it
to you,
was
Harold.
reflective of the will of the people of the town. And Borderland Pride is not emo pride. So these are outsiders coming in to colonize this
is a
town
tiny
with their
town.
nonsense.
Yeah.
And Harold said, no, that's not what my people want. He did the right thing. His people rewarded him for it. But anyways, the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal found that somehow it's a human right to come from another town and impose your sexual desires on them in this weird sort of way.
Yeah.
And they garnished his wages. Sorry, not his wages. His bank account, because his wages didn't.
His actual bank account. Yes.
Right, because his wages are nothing.
His wages didn't cover the amount of the fines. Like his wages were less than that. So they couldn't be like, we're going to take your paycheck. They were like, we're going to dip into your savings, Harold, a senior citizen. Like just upside down. Sheila Gunn-Reid, where is Emo, Ontario? Is it right on the Manitoba-Ontario border?
Yeah, you have to go through the United States to get there. That's the shortest way.
You know,
because you have to like fly to Winnipeg and then drive, if I recall. And you have to cut through the United States to get there. It's like an onerous drive. Ask David Menzies. He drove there in the ungodly dead of winter. And yeah, 17 hours from Toronto.
Holy Hannah.
So if you go to Winnipeg and then you cut across that little top corner of Minneapolis or of Minnesota, that's the quickest way to get there.
Okay, so Sheila Gunn-Reid, I'm just thinking to myself, doesn't Emo, Ontario sound like a place that we could tootle off to? Spend a couple days with the good people of Emo, Ontario, maybe camp out in Harold McQuaker's driveway, you know, just
I'm sure they have a great campground.
I bet they have a great municipal campground. Yeah, I think that we should maybe put that on our list.
Seems like one of the, I'm going to look, but it feels like one of those towns that just has an absolute deadly Lions campground.
I bet it does. I bet that we would just fit right in with the people of Emo, Ontario, just like we were from there. And hey, if you're from the Emo Tourism Board, give us a shout, okay? Give us a shout. We're open to tootling towards you.
I'd like to do a review of your graveyard.
Right? This is how like our YouTube, because we you know, when we get on our adventures, we think to ourselves, we should show our viewers what we're up to when we're not like at the desk, because this, like, although this is fun, like listen, nobody's complaining about the work that we do here on air, but our life outside of this is so interesting and so fun, and we get up to such huge adventures, and we just have such a good time. So this is the birth of that, Sheila Gunn-Reid. We might go to Emo and do a tour of their graveyard and their Lions campground and their municipal maybe pump station, you know, their water treatment plant.
Do you have a reservoir or a water tower? Also very interesting things for prairie people to pay attention to. Yeah, we spent about 6 hours staring aimlessly, uninterrupted at the South Saskatchewan River this past weekend, just staring.
It was glorious. It was absolutely glorious. And quick shout out to the Outlook Regional Campground who hosted us and made room for us. And we just had the absolute best time.
Yeah, I wonder if I can find that. Is this it? We also suspected that a piece of driftwood was also a sea creature.
We're like, what is that? Is that Ogopogo? Is that the South Saskatchewan version of is it a lake monster? Are we seeing a lake monster? Turns out we're just old and didn't have our glasses on. Okay.
I had to zoom in with my phone and then zoom in that again.
For about 15 minutes or so, though, your girls Lisa and Sheila were convinced that a piece of driftwood might be a lake creature. Okay,
the turtle-furred turtle is what I thought perhaps it would be. For those of you in the Turtleford, Saskatchewan area, you know that you have a sea creature there. Let's keep going. We've got Mark Carney, video from him. As we build bigger and faster, we will build Canadian. Okay. What are we building exactly again?
Yeah.
Let's watch.
Okay.
We will be our own best customer by relying more on Canadian lumber, Canadian softwood for Canadian projects. Canada's new government has a strong mandate to get big things built faster. That means millions of more homes, major new ports, new trade corridors, new energy projects. And as we build bigger and faster, we will build Canadian, prioritizing Canadian lumber, Canadian steel, Canadian aluminum in Canadian construction. We will.
Okay. How is Brookfield linked to this?
Please go on, Sheila Gunn-Reid, and tell me how.
No,
Mark
I'm
Carney's...
looking.
Oh, well, here, I'll tell you. So Brookfield holds significant positions in some of Canada's largest softwood lumber companies, including West Fraser Lumber. Hold on, there's more. I
got it. Brookfield Asset Management is a major investor in West Fraser Timber, one of the largest lumber producers globally and a key player in the Canadian softwood lumber industry.
Are you following a pattern here, Canada? Are you following a pattern here? Every time Mark Carney gets in front of a microphone and makes an announcement about how Canada's going to win, Canada's going to build, Canada's going to be the best.
Financial support. He has announced financial support for the softwood lumber industry, which Brookfield is a major investor in. So he is announcing financial supports for Brookfield, but he's got it all in a blind trust and definitely doesn't know what he's doing. Sure,
he does. Yep, but here we go. And you know what else they own? They own a big Brookfield back in, I want to say 2023, built a modular home company, but a modular home building company, excuse me. And be darned if I can find it right now. I had it lined up and now I've lost it. But Brookfield not only owns the lumber company that now Mark Carney, the installed Prime Minister of Canada, is going to give money to, but Brookfield also owns the modular home company that's going to use the lumber that is now subsidized by the Canadian taxpayer to build the modular homes. You're welcome. Like, tell me this, that you aren't incensed, Canada. We should be incensed. This is rampant conflict of interest, rampant corruption by our federal government. This is a federal government that was already corrupt before the new Prime Minister was installed. Now, Mark Carney's corruption and conflict of interest make Justin Trudeau's look like child's play. Let that sink in. Let that sink in.
Let's go to, speaking of conflicts of interest, Anita Anand, whose husband has fingers in all the pies. She's in Mexico right now. And she says, as I continue my official visit to Mexico, Anita Anand, of course, our foreign affairs minister, I am meeting with business leaders from diverse sectors to explore new opportunities and strengthen strategic partnerships. What are we buying from them? We have our own cars. Yes, exactly. We have our own cars. We have our own lumber. We have our own minerals. This is my problem. Trump won't answer the phone. Get on a plane. Get on a train. Go to Washington and sort this out immediately. They are our largest trading partner. We've got 35% tariffs, and we've got our foreign affairs minister sitting down talking avocados with the Mexicans.
Sheila, I don't want to break this to you, but Washington, D.C. doesn't have all-inclusive resorts where Anita and friends can stay for upwards of 2 weeks while they
Right.
negotiate a trade deal with Mexico.
Right.
Like Washington, D.C. is kind of a buzzkill in summer, whereas Mexico's
It's
a happening place all year
sweltering,
long.
a literal swamp.
But they do have swim up bars, and they do have extensive pool areas, and
Yeah,
they do
that's the
have the
thing.
ocean. So if you were Anita and Ange looking for a quick summer getaway, I mean, wouldn't you look at Mexico if you were her? I know I would.
Yeah. Let's hit the daily cringe and then we'll do some chats. I dug
Okay.
up a video of our just the thing we stared at for 6 uninterrupted hours straight.
Let's see. Let's show the people what we
Love it.
did.
Okay, this is what we did.
Yeah.
Olivia, do you have that?
Oh Lord. No, I'm scared now.
No,
Oh,
it's fine.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh, look, you guys. Oh,
this is
look.
just what we
So
did.
my memories of this last weekend
Alone
are
on a
going to last a
beach.
lifetime. I'm not joking, you guys. When I say we pulled up just out of nowhere. It was a long weekend in Saskatchewan. The campground was absolutely packed. Okay,
But not where we
absolutely packed
were.
with people. And the Outlook regional campground said to us, well, actually, you know what? We have this new thing called car camping, and it's great for off-gridders and glampers and the people that,
Off-grid.
right? The truck boxers, the guys that don't need power, don't need water, they just need a place to lay their heads at night. This was the view from our campsite for 3 solid days this weekend,
Yeah.
you guys, right along the South Saskatchewan River, right along that beautiful old train trestle, right, that's the old train bridge there. And this is a service that most municipal parks on the prairies have. So you just roll up, you don't have a reservation, no problem. They got room for you. You don't have, you haven't checked in, you haven't made plans. If you're in the area, you can find a place just like this. And
Freedom to roam.
freedom to roam. This is what you get. And it really was a magical weekend, Sheila Goodread, wasn't it?
Sure was. It
Yeah.
sure was. We were sitting there watching sturgeon jump.
True story. It was
We sure
wild.
were.
Beautiful.
It was wonderful. Daily cringe comes to us by way of Lizzo. And I actually thought she was turning a corner there for a while, but no.
Okay.
She has decided that, okay, first of all the left-wing blue hairs are mad because Sydney Sweeney
is hot
and wholesome.
Right.
She seems wholesome, right? Like you would be happy if that were your daughter, right?
Yeah.
An adult daughter, she doesn't have intrusive makeup. Her hair is sort of pretty and natural.
Yeah.
As far as blonde treatments can be. But like she is sort of an all-American girl, right?
Yeah.
Which is, if you're selling all-American jeans, you might want to have an all-American girl in the face of it. Although the blue hairs decided that when they say Sydney Sweeney's got great jeans, Geans, a lot of people said, oh, that's a dog whistle at the white supremacist, because maybe they just mean jeans, like
Sure.
eugenics.
Yes.
Which
Genetics.
you have to be crazy
Yeah.
to make that assumption. But this is where we are with these people. And now Lizzo, who used to be a terribly overweight vegan in the healthy at any size space, who has now abandoned her veganism. So now she's consuming more protein and probably laying off the carbs a little bit. And she's dropped a fair bit of weight. And I thought, okay, her brain's going to be functioning normally now because she's eating the fats and you get all those fat soluble hormones working properly and she'll think better, right? Your brain is mostly fat. You need fat to fuel it. So if you're a vegan, that's not the greatest idea. Anyway, I thought she had turned a corner, but now she's back and she has done her own version of this viral, apparently controversial American Eagle ad. Please let's show it.
Oh, give me some space. It's way too hot up in here. I'm sweating out of my lace. Don't need no bottle service. We pulled up with our drinks. Trunk full of that Ace. Trunk full of that Henny. If we ain't got no Waffle House, we pulling up to the Denny's. I'ma give him a grand slam. He pulling off of the panties. The way he hit from the back, I might give him one of my Grammys. Did this for the culture. That left, right, and that bend it over. Got scissor and Doja. I ate that. Now let's do it over. Bitch, what did I told you? I'm going into October. Niggas acting like the fun is over. Niggas acting like summer's over. But oh, give me some.
Okay, why? Like, you know what? I think she looks a lot better than she used to. But the point of Sydney Sweeney's ad was it was kind of wholesome. This
That's
is
right.
the opposite.
Uh-huh.
This is vulgar.
You know, like I've seen this happen time and time again, where a woman will lose a significant amount of weight and just be like, I gotta show it. I gotta show it all.
Sure.
Like, yeah, they let their demons off their leashes. You know, they lose a little
Right.
bit of weight and they let their demons off. I got to be careful of that. To be completely honest, like I just gotta keep this all under a moo. But I think it's really funny that we're talking about an ad featuring Sydney Sweeney that talks about having good genes, right, and genetics. Where Lizzo literally sings it. Lizzo's most popular song starts out with the line, I just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% that bitch, even when I'm crying crazy. Okay, so Lizzo is talking about her genes in her most famous song, except for she didn't get eviscerated for
Right.
saying that exact same thing, but Sydney Sweeney did. See, this is where the left diverges into craziness all the time. What's good for me is not good for thee, and it shows their blatant duplicity. But Lizzo, like love your music. It's fine. It's great music. But don't capitalize on Sydney Sweeney's moment because it just looks cheap and awful. And we see what you're doing with your weight loss, and it's just not a good look. It's not a
Yeah.
good look.
Yeah, you know what though? Frankly, she's a lot more covered up than she used to be when she was bigger. So I don't know where I land on this topic. And
Well, she-
Sydney Sweeney, she was out
Yeah.
throwing the baseball, the opening pitch or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about baseball. I don't
it's
know.
it's
But
an
she
opening
did that.
pitch. Yeah, to open the game. It's a celebrity thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I usually play third base because not a lot happens over there. But yeah, like look at how wholesome she looks.
She's adorable. She's absolutely adorable. There's nothing wrong with Sydney Sweeney. I know that our male viewers will agree with me on this, and our female viewers. Listen,
Sure.
Sydney Sweeney is a
She's
smoke
cute as a
show.
button.
Yeah,
she's
she's
cute
a
as a
smoke
button.
show. I want more of her in this world.
Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't it?
And
It's funny. It's funny because in all the vulgarity of pop culture, this is what everybody takes offense with.
yeah, Miley Cyrus did an interview, I think, with Rolling Stone magazine really recently, that talked about her nudity being her, one of her greatest assets. Then we have Sydney Sweeney completely dressed in blue jeans, okay, scratchy blue jeans,
Right.
and she's making sort of sexy modesty. Like I
Right.
love that modesty is becoming sexy. That just,
I think it's the best policy.
I mean, I
Modesty.
can buy into that.
Oh, I
can
can't.
buy into that
I'm
tomorrow.
so delighted.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a weird time to be alive. And I'm actually quite happy that they're bringing in the old Alberta tuxedo and putting it in an ad. Double denim. Yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I'll take that. I'll take that any day.
All right. Let's get to some of these chats because I know I've got to get into my next meeting. We've got one from Cat Barks 68 gives us $5. Hello, lovely ladies. I would love to go on one of your wanderabouts. Please post some of those. Well, you saw one today. I'm not sure if I want to invite people just for safety's sake. But because sometimes we're in some pretty isolated places. However, I think we should document them, Lise.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
talk about
I
them
think
after
so
the
too.
fact. Okay.
I think so too. But also, Sheila, we could plan a weekend with our rebel people where everybody that likes doing this could just come for the weekend. Like we could take over a municipal campground. I think that there's legs in that idea.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll talk about it. And thanks so much for your text, buddy.
I'm just always worried about getting murdered. Bonnie D, not to say that you're a murderer, Cat Barks 68. Bonnie D gives us $6.99. So staying out of the woods will prevent lightning strikes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a great comment.
Have COVID restrictions come back violating our rights again? You know what? I bring it up all the time, but they did close the road through the national park during COVID, the one that's next door to me. And I was like,
isn't that wild?
We're in our cars with the windows rolled up. And yet we couldn't use the road. Like,
Yeah.
who are you going to give the COVID to? The
Yeah.
buffalo with the windows rolled up? Like, what's wrong with you people? But
Yeah,
that's Parks Canada for you.
That's a great point, though, that COVID overreach and that authoritarianism that took root in COVID has long, long legs, and we are still experiencing that overreach now.
They like that power. They like it. They don't want to let it go, right?
The petty tyrants of the world, that was their best gift to themselves. We can make rules about safety for anything, for any reason, for any place, for any person. Like, it was just such a gift to them. This is why we must break it down.
Yes, and there's always that enforcer at your local grocery store scowling at you for not going clockwise to get your cake mix. Because
where's your mask?
But the Black Death came counterclockwise. Yeah. All right, let's wrap the show. We're way over time. Lisa, thank you so much for joining me these last few days on this epic ride we call the live stream. Far too long, but we'll reconvene this next Tuesday.
Yes, ma'am. This has just been a wonderful couple of days. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are my favorite days of the week because I get to spend them with you guys. And save all of your big news for next Tuesday because that's when I will see you next.
Now, that's when you guys will see Elise next. But the Rebel News live stream is, of course, back again Thursday and Friday and Monday. Thanks to everybody who puts the show together for us behind the scenes at Rebel News. You guys know who you are. Thanks to everybody who chats, who engages with our content. That's one of the best free ways to help us. Share it with somebody you think needs to see it. And thanks to those of you who go that extra step and who donate a little bit to keep the lights on here at Rebel News, because we are definitely the little network that could. Thanks, everybody. And what's the new tagline again? Oh, yes. If you find us offensive, maybe don't find us at all.